What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Johnny G for Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. So, it's about time I got off my ass and started doing some work getting prepared for the Star Wars RPG that's coming up shortly. So the first thing I got to do is I got to take stock of everything I have, everything I need, everything I want to do. So I'm gonna go over this with you. You see my process of getting ready to run one of my RPG sessions, and in this case specifically Star Wars. Now, I'm going to be running the Wizards of the Coast D20 Star Wars. I had actually thought about running the old D6, was it West End Games edition. I have the books for that. I remember playing it fondly, back in the days. And I do have the books. I really thought about it because I enjoy the system. I enjoy the classes. But ultimately, I have a lot more material on hand for Wizards of the Coast D20. So that is one of the main reasons I'm running that particular rule set. Now, the other is, my players are taking a break from running 3.5 D&D. So the rules are almost practically the same. There's nothing for my players to have to get into now. They'll just continue with the same mindset as far as rules go, more or less, with a few added changes, such as no hit points, vitality and wounds instead, and the use of the Force, which, you could say is magic, but I think it actually might be closer related in D&D terms to psionic powers. But, so the first thing then is to take stock of my books. Well, honestly, I guess the first thing I need to do is take stock of my players. Since we've had a few openings at the table recently, and I need to bulk things up with me, Ron, and Rob. So here we go. I know another besides Ron and Rob, another old friend of mine, Tim, had been wanting to hang out and do some gaming again like the old days, so I reached out to Tim, who's more than happy, willing, and able to do so. I also reached out to Tom. Tom Vulo is always willing to run some RPGs. Well, not run them, play the RPGs. And me and him are going to be working on an interesting character, and that's going to be its own video. I'm going to do character creation for the D20 Star Wars. That might be the next video, or one of the very next ones in line, actually. But I'm going to need new players for my regular D&D. Star Wars is just going to be, I'm believing, 4 sessions. That's all I want to run. This is short. This is just in between my regular D&D game. A palate cleanser after a long fantasy run. Okay, so what I did was I reached out on Facebook, and I found a couple of sites. There's a D&D group finder page and a group, and then there's also Dungeons and Dragons for old dudes. I'm old. Slowly creeping up to 60, not quite there yet, but the uphill battle is on. And that is where I found some new players. And 2 of them are going to be joining me for Star Wars, getting to know me and the group before we get back into Dungeons and Dragons. So I got players. That's good. Now let's check out my library. Okay, so I do have just about everything D20 that was officially published, besides the Star Wars gaming magazines. There was, I think, 9 issues of that, and I don't have those. I also don't have I think it was a dungeon magazine. Might be a dragon. I think it was a dungeon magazine that incorporated the Janissary force using light dark side balancing class. But I have access to that in PDF and photographs. So I think the only book I don't have is a first edition soft cover concerning starships. It might be the only thing I'm missing. Now, I'm running the second edition revised. So anything first edition, I can very easily modify into that. Now, I notice that I do not have a screen. So I'm going to be looking on Amazon, and if I can't find it there, I'll be reaching out to, eBay and any other site I can find to try to find a screen. I really want my DM screen. Okay, so now I got the core rulebook. I'm going to get the screen. What are the books? What other books do I need, want, I'm going to use material from, or just allow material from? Maybe it doesn't get used, but I want the players and myself to have the open option walking right into the game from the front door. So looking at my library, obviously the first thing I'm going to want is the available, which I have, is the Ultimate Alien Anthology. Now there is massive, I cracked my voice on purpose. There's massive amounts of different alien species in that book. Wow. Talk about, freezing up with too many choices. So I am going to narrow it down and give them a choice of, 8 or 10 species that I'm going to allow playable for this particular adventure. Most of them, though not all of them, are going to be near human species, such as a Zabrak, the Chiss, things like that are considered near human species, something that can get away with interacting with the Empire if that's needed. Years ago, I did an adventure for this, and nobody in the party was human at all. And on certain missions, having to interact with the Empire, it made it damn near impossible. So I'm not going to force everyone to choose humans, though I pretty much am guaranteed Ron will. I know him. But this way they can still play aliens and look human, at least most of the party, if needed, right? Okay, now the hero, there's a hero's guide. I really like this because it gives these archetype classes in it that I want to use, where you have, two core classes that you're advancing back and forth, to get one special ability here, one special ability there, to make you sort of a different class. And it also has something else I like, and that's a random hit locator, which I think I want to use with wounds, as well as critical hits. Yeah, things that are going to be, an actual chart for critical hits. A lot of RPGs over the years have had critical hit and hit location charts. I usually don't always use them, but I want to give it a shot, see how it feels. With the other books that are there, I'm going to need a campaign. I have the Rebel Era campaign. Rebel Era is my favorite time period, so I think that's a no-brainer. But now that brings us to the question of the Force. Everybody, well, most people, love the Force, love Jedis, lightsabers, right? That's the part of the excitement of Star Wars. However, playing in a Rebel Era time period, that is very tough. So the Force Guardian and the Force Force Counselor classes I am not allowing, as is right and is even stated in the source book for Rebel Era campaigning. I am going to allow, in fact, here's my twist. Not only am I allowing a Force Adept class, because that makes sense to allow it, but I'm going to be starting the entire party at 2nd level. Now, the main reason I'm doing this is because I want them all to have 1 level of Force Adepts. I want to see how this goes, where it goes, how the players handle this. When they advance in level, which of them are going to be excited to advance a Force user as opposed to their regular class? Now, since going into this, this is only going to be a 4-part break game, I'm going to pre-gen the characters for everyone. I'm going to have one of each class, with the exception of the Jedi classes, as I just mentioned, and a second level for each of those characters in Force Adepts. We'll see where this goes. Now, because of that, there is a Galactic Campaign Guidebook that I'm going to be using as well, because this has alternate Force traditions in it. So let's say more than one person in the party wants to continue being Force powerful, but they don't necessarily want to become a Jedi. Now, the Rebel Era storyline source book does have a hidden Jedi Master storyline. So if there's anyone in the party that wants to learn the Jedi skills and powers and abilities and philosophies, there's your opening. There's your Ben Kenobi. There's your Master Yoda character for this campaign. But what if they don't want to be Jedis? So the Galactic Campaign Guidebook does have some really interesting alternate ideas for someone that wants to go beyond just being a core base Force adept. Yeah, that's a good book, very good book to have if you're doing a campaign in the Rebel Era, because it gives you those options. Now, I will obviously then also be looking into incorporating Power of the Jedi sourcebook, just in case someone in the party does decide that that's the route they want to go for. Now, I have run D20 Star Wars many times over the decades, or 2 since it's been out. Nobody has ever really gone dark side. Well, nobody has ever, period, gone dark side. I don't even recall anyone using a dark side force point. You know, to get that extra. Well, it balances out. At higher levels, it's not more dice, therefore more powerful than the light side, but it starts off that way. I don't even remember anyone ever dabbling in the dark side. But since I'm introducing new friends, new players, individuals I don't know, I think I should have the dark side source book as well as Power of the Jedi available for me to check out. Now, minis, a set, terrain. What am I going to do? I have an awful lot of fantasy stuff, low tech kind of stuff. I do have 3 sets of Dwarven Forge sci-fi, 2 of the starter sets, and 1 for passages. I wish I had 2 more passages and 1 more starter set to round that out. Minimum of 3 of each is perfect. I think 4 for most tables is even better, but I don't want to be greedy. I also have Tenfold Dungeon. And most of the boxes I have for that, 4 of them are from their sci-fi collection, which I purposely already got ahead of time, knowing I wanted to run a Star Wars campaign pretty damn soon. Okay. So I have enough places. I have enough things. Miniatures. There are still miniatures that I have back from the day. Wizards of the Coast pre-painted miniatures. So could I use more? Sure. I may even go on eBay and try to find 1 or 2 specific ones. But generally speaking, I have enough to do this campaign, at least enough to start this campaign before we go back to D&D. If the group wants to come back to this, beautiful. I'm more than willing and able. So I have terrain. I also have from battle systems, I have some sci-fi core space sheets of scatter stuff like generators and piping kind of things. Med lab, more than a few things that I can also add in on that. So I think my terrain stuff, I think my miniature stuff, I think that's all, yeah, I think that's all pretty much taken care of. So, will it be a one shot? Will it be continued? That's up to the players. How much fun they have in the game, how much desire they have to ignite their lightsabers and come back to the Star Wars universe. I will be more than willing and able to do so. In fact, I'm going to go out and buy myself a campaign notebook. I'm going to look for I like the notebooks, not the big spiral bound, 11 by 8s or whatever they are. I like the smaller ones, half that size, because they fit behind the screen better. And also, being a little more compact, tight, I can pretty much use one of those size notebooks per campaign. Or most of a campaign anyway, right? So everything is in the one book that I need. So yeah, I think that's it. That's everything covered. I think I'm good to go. I got dice and pencils aplenty. I got character sheets. The only thing left to do is to create some characters. And I think we're going to start with Tom Vulo, because Tom is rebel scum.